Hey chess lovers and friends, I'm so excited for today's lesson. So this is yet another video that you guys can't afford to skip. In today's video, I'm going to be showing you some of the great ways to avoid losing in chess. Sounds fake, right? Well, yeah, but give me your eyeballs for the next few minutes. Okay, so ladies and gentlemen, there will come a time when all you need is a draw to qualify maybe in a tournament, or to survive against a superior opponent, or to maintain your rating, or maybe just to simply play for fun and punish that egomaniac opponent of yours, which is what this video is all about, you guys. Playing for a draw that is at worst or at best simply win the game. So the first opening that I'm gonna show you guys is the Vanjit opening. So this is where you begin with knight to c3, and hey, let me turn on the Lichess database so that you can see for yourselves what I'm talking about. So as you can see here, pawn to d5 is by far the top played move in both the Masters and the Lichess database. So black will play pawn to d5, and well, it is not pawn to d4 that you want to play here. It is pawn to a4, like Magnus Carlsen. And here, as you can see again, pawn to d4 is by far the top played move according to the Lichess database, after which you play knight to e4. And once again, you guys, pawn to e5 is the top played move, which we want to see. After which I recommend you go pawn to d3. But here the move that you're going to see in over the board games is pawn to f5, the third most played move. After which I recommend that you completely ignore the f5 pawn and take the pawn on d4. And here, trust me, you're going to see most of your opponents taking your free knight on e4. I mean, even your higher rated opponents. And hey, congrats! You just managed to secure a draw for yourself. I mean, if black continues to play the normal looking moves. So you begin with queen h5 check, and the secret is that you are going to be moving your queen in these second squares, okay? So a move like pawn to j6 here will be losing for black because you have queen takes e5, that will be check, and on the next move you will simply win the free rook on h8. So here we are only considering the best that black can do, okay? Not any other possibilities. So black can play king e7, that's the best they can do. You go queen h4 check, king d7, you go queen h3 check. So they play king d6, queen a3 check, and again they go king e6, which is, by the way, a blunder. If we want to play this for a win, the best move is bishop c4 check that we can play and continue creating more threats. We have d takes e5 in the near future, pawn to d3 to pave way for our dark squared bishop. But hey, we are talking of securing a draw, right? Against a superior opponent. So you go queen h3 check once again, and if they play king d6, what do? Queen a3 check, and if king c6, you go queen c3 check. By the way, there's even a mate in one here if black carelessly plays king b6. So they better play something else like king d7 here. After which we go queen h3 check. So you can see we are just playing the same things, and black has to be very careful here because they may end up losing their knight after something like knight to f6 blocking the check, because here we have d takes e4 winning back the knight with our pawn, and maybe on the next move we are going to grab a free pawn on e4 with a superior position. So again, black may instantly lose this game if they miss the sequence with something like king d6 here, thinking we no longer have queen a3 check, but oops, that hangs the queen on d8. So this is just how fun this line can be, you guys. I've never seen anything like this on YouTube, and I'm going to try it in a practical game to convince you guys that such things do happen even in real life. And anyways, let's move on to the next opening. Alright, so the trick that I just showed you guys was stolen from the Mykonos defense, where white begins with d4 and then we start with knight c6. Here we're just inviting white to play d5, after which we go knight e5. Yep, if you are a keen follower of my videos, you already know what is coming, right? So they'll play e4, which is the top played move again, you guys, after which you go pawn to e6. Just like what we were doing with white pieces. Again, pawn to f4 is by far the top played move, after which you completely ignore that f4 pawn attack and take on d5. Because if they take your knight on e5, once again you have managed to secure a draw against a superior opponent, or maybe just for fun, you go queen h5 check, and just like in the previous opening, you'll be moving your queen in these circled squares. Again, pawn to g3 will be a blunder because of queen takes e4 check, which is also going to win the free rook on h1. So again, king e2 has to be played, after which you go queen h5 check, king d2, you go queen h6 check, king d3, queen s6 check, king c3, you go queen c6 check, and if white plays king b3, here you can simply go queen b6 check, and it will be up to you to choose what you want to play from here. Bishop b4 check is completely winning for black. In the near future, you also have d takes e4, right? But hey, we are talking of securing a draw, so I suggest you go queen c6 check, and after king d2, go queen h6 check. And so you can see we are simply doing the same things over and over. And if king e2, you go queen h5 check, and once again you're going to see a move like this, king d3, which hangs the queen completely, and this will be winning for you. Alright, so if you want to know more about this opening, you can check the video that has popped up in the card above after you finish watching this video. Let's go to the next opening. So this trick that I'm about to show you guys mostly happens at the top level. This is when grandmasters want to make a draw fast, go home, and do some other stuff. So maybe they just want to advance to the next stage, maybe in a tournament. So they begin with e4, and then black plays e5. Again, you can go knight to f3 here. This is what they play. And then knight c6 and bishop b5, which is the Ruy Lopez, you guys. And here the move that you're going to see most of your opponents playing is knight to f6, which is the Berlin defense, my favorite. The main line here is castle shot by white and knight takes e4 by black. What I'm showing you are top played moves, you guys. If black plays something else apart from this, maybe they're going to be disadvantaged. So here is where white plays d4, the main move. And theory says black has to play knight d6, which is the common move because white is planning to play rook e1 next. I mean, black's king is still on the center, so black has to play knight d6, after which they play d takes e5, attacking the knight, completely sacrificing the light squared bishop, you guys. Yet the game is still equal. So here you see knight takes b5, that's a temporal sacrifice. After that, play f4, immediately attacking the knight, so that after knight b d4, you take that knight, and obviously knight takes d4 by black is the top played move here, because if black takes on e5 with his knight, white can simply play rook e1, pinning the knight to the king, and on the next move, white is going to win a free knight. And black cannot stop this attack with his elbow, which is why black players always take on d4, after which you have to take on d4 with your queen, and d5 the top played move again, which calls for %. And hey, this is only the 10th move of the game, and you need to know this line, you guys. This is where you will see super grandmasters making a draw. After queen takes d6, theoretically speaking, this position is a draw, and most grandmasters just end up making a repetition from here. After queen e4 check, queen e6, again queen d4, queen d6, queen e4 check, queen e6, queen d4, again queen d6. By the way, there is no bishop d6 here because white can simply take that free pawn, and in some lines, white is planning to play bishop d2 and rook e1. I mean, to convince you guys that I'm not speaking under the influence of alcohol or something, kindly check the Masters Database in this position with your own eyeballs. Anyways, let's move on to another opening. But before I do that, be sure to hit the like button and subscribe to my channel if at all you haven't already, because that's how you encourage me to keep on making more wonderful videos just like this one. Not to mention that my courses are still on promotion. You can visit www.casperchess.com and purchase any at a very affordable price. You can also sign up for my free masterclass at casperchess.com and get yourself a free mini course, and you can do that in 4 seconds during this short break. Stay tuned. Now here comes an offbeat opening which looks so scary. The trap that I'm about to show you guys is called the white quick on the draw in the Petrov defense. And again, it may be appropriate for players with white pieces who are up against high rated opponents and want to get a quick draw with white pieces. So here is where you start with e4 and then e5 by black. Then you go knight to f3 and black plays knight f6. The Russian defense is also considered to be the most drawish opening. You can do more research on this defense. So after knight to f6, I recommend you go pawn to d4. And again, the top played move is knight takes e4. Here you go bishop d3, and black will play d5 among other bad moves, which would only make white's position to be better. So knight takes e5 is what I recommend to play, after which you're going to see knight d7, again the top played move. Now hold on, right in this position, if you want to play for a win or probably a loss, you can try these highlighted moves, knight takes d7, or simply play knight c3 or go castle short just to create some imbalances. But if you are playing against a higher rated opponent and maybe just want to get a quick draw, I recommend that you simply sacrifice your knight on f7. This is very drawish, you guys. So here you can see in almost all the variations, most of the games end up to be draws. E.g., if king takes f7, well, you simply go queen h5 check. Black doesn't have to play pawn to g6 because here we have a signature move, queen takes d5 check. It doesn't matter what black does. For example, if king e8, we can simply capture that knight on e4, and after something like queen e7, you take black's queen, and bishop takes, then bishop f4 is what you play. Here, you are just up by 2 pawns as white, with a superior position of about plus 6.5, which is suffice to win the game. So black doesn't have to play pawn to g6 after you go queen h5 check. You can analyze this on Stockfish in case you have other questions. So the best that black can do is to go king e7, after which you simply go back to queen e2. The idea is to push pawn to f3 and trap that knight. Again, look at the Masters database, you guys, and this is only the 8th move of the game, so this should be the quickest way to play for a draw in the Petrov defense. So again, king f7, you go queen h5, king e7, queen e2, and now you claim for a draw. Let's say, what if black becomes stingy and plays knight to f6? Well, the game will just be equal from here onwards. For example, we can play pawn to f3, and here black should better find a Stockfish move, bishop e6, which equalizes the game. Anything else will be losing. So I recommend taking the knight on e4, and after d takes e4, you go bishop takes e4. Again, black has to find the only equalizing move, queen takes d4. For example, if knight takes e4, well, we may just capture that knight and be a pawn up forever. For example, queen d5 is the only move that Stockfish suggests, after which you should take that queen, and after bishop takes, you simply castle short, and here you are just simply a pawn up with a completely winning position. Anyways, let's move on to the next opening trick. Now, the next opening trick that I'm about to show you guys can happen in the London system or in the Indian defense. After white begins with d4, then you go knight to f6, which is the Indian defense, and let's say white plays bishop f4 here. So this is not yet the London system, but it's just an immediate way of transposing the game into the London system maybe later on. c5 is the engine's top suggestion here and what I recommend you should play. So always remember this move, you guys, especially if you just want to have a quick draw. So again, let me turn on the Masters database, you guys, so that you can see the top played moves. Pawn to e3 is what everybody plays on Lichess and over the board, after which you go queen b6, attacking the b2 pawn, which is undefended since the London bishop is already out of the pawn chain. So again, you can see right here, you guys, knight to c3 is by far the top played move, which is theoretical. By the way, pawn to b3 by white only gives black a minus 0.5 advantage. You can check that with Stockfish. My advice here is just to transpose the game into the king's Indian defense as quickly as you can. Next, you play pawn to g6, bishop g7, castle short. So instead of pawn to b3, knight to c3 is what everybody plays, which is a theoretical move, after which I recommend you just take that free pawn on b2, attacking that undefended knight on c3. But here is white's logic. They wanted to go knight b5, so that they can give you a check after knight c7 and win that free rook on a8. So this is another defense that you can play if you just want to get a quick draw with black pieces. How? Well, first, white is hoping that you play queen b4, which is a blunder, because that would allow them to take the free rook on a8. So don't even consider to play that move. The move I recommend that you should play is knight to d5, simply protecting the c7 square. And here is where grandmasters agree to a draw after a threefold repetition. Believe it or not, this is what people play at the top level. But hey, there is another way of trying to avoid a draw, maybe with the move pawn to a3. But here you have this equalizing move, you guys, knight to c3 straight away, and theory says white needs to play knight c7 check to equalize the game. Now it is white begging for a draw, because if they take your knight on c3, this will be completely losing, because you have queen takes c3, and after king e2, the only sensible move, you can simply take on d4 with your pawn, and if queen takes d4, you have queen takes c2 check. So they're going to take with their pawn, after which you go pawn to b6, and there is this bishop a6 check coming, which will be very difficult for white to solve, and you are completely winning here as black. So that's why white in this position has to play knight c7, not taking on c3, after which you go king d8, and after queen c1 you exchange queens, and then to trap this knight forever, you first of all attack the bishop on a4, and after bishop takes, you attack that dark squared bishop once more, so that after d takes e5, now the knight is trapped on a8 for sure, and here you're just up a piece as black.